Hey guys, welcome back. Awakening the Nightmare has finally come, and the ending is weird, and it has quite a few people confused. It's sort of an open ending, and at the same time it's sort of a closed ending, so today I wanted to try my best to explain at least my interpretation of it, and what this might possibly mean for the future. So, the final mission and cutscene both confirm that the Proto-Gravemind that we fought at the end of the campaign is 100% categorically dead. D-E-A-D, dead. Atriox then tells Viridis and Pavium to go and secure the breach, which I assume means secure the hole that they blew through High Charity's quarantine shield to get in there, which actually really isn't that big of a hole when you look at it compared to High Charity's overall size. It's actually really small. Sentinels then begin to cleanse the areas around High Charity that got infected, areas of which are now officially called Blightlands, infected environments that have their resources and nutrients used to help grow the Flood before being completely infected themselves. It's a nice new bit of lore actually, I like it. Meanwhile, in the background, we can clearly see that High Charity's quarantine shield is still like 99.9% active, and that the hole the Banished blew in it, like I said before, is tiny compared to its overall size. So, what does this mean? Why am I focusing on this specifically? Well, considering how small of a hole was actually blown in High Charity, we could hazard a guess that the bowels of its remains are still pretty Flood infested, and that the Banished didn't disturb it as much as the game wants to have us believe. That, and the fact that the quarantine shield itself is still active, very likely means that there's still something within High Charity's wreckage to be contained, and I can't see the Sentinels actually going inside it, meandering through all these really tight corridors to kill the Flood, because in a CQC environment, Sentinels would get fucking destroyed. Unless the Ark's defenses include some sort of Sentinel that is built purely for CQC combat, or some localized anti-Flood explosive or something, I don't think the remaining Flood inside High Charity will be destroyed. I reckon they'll just continue to be contained, and that means that there's still a possible Flood threat on the Ark, plain and simple. As for the battle on the Ark with the Banished and Cutter, that's still ongoing, and with this seemingly being the final piece of Halo Wars 2 DLC, God knows where or when this battle is going to get resolved. I highly doubt that it's going to be part of Halo 6, with Halo 6 being a more simple, chief-focused story, so I guess maybe it'll get resolved in a book or a comic or something, but for something as big as this, I don't think they'd do that. I don't know, it's a pretty weird, sticky situation. Let me know in the comments how you think they're ever going to resolve this without making Halo Wars 3. Anyways, in summary, in Awakening the Nightmare, all we really do to stop the Flood Hive is destroy its Proto-Gravemind, which, albeit is actually quite a significant thing, and a lot of newly created Flood forms. It's very likely that the Hive within High Charity is still populated with Flood. Unless they have another Proto-Gravemind in there, they're gonna have to start building a new centralized intelligence, but nonetheless, they're not all dead. One of the Phoenix logs even confirms that the Gravemind will return at some point. Now, most of us already knew this, because at some point in the future there will be another Flood outbreak. That's basically confirmed from Silentium. But this confirms that the Gravemind at some point will return. Whether that is from the bowels of High Charity, or from a completely different source, that's unknown. But I just thought I'd throw that in there. So, what might this all mean for the future? Well, as per usual, your boy's got a theory about how all of this might maybe tie into Halo 6, at least in some degree. So, ever since 343 took over, a lot of people have noticed a pattern with their games. They always seem to mirror certain aspects of Bungie's respective games. So, for example, Halo 4 had a shitload of similarities with Halo CE, and Halo 5 had a shitload of similarities with Halo 2, so following this pattern, I'd imagine that Halo 6 will have quite a few similarities with Halo 3, which I am game for. And I think that one of the main similarities will be the importance of the Ark. Now, I get the feeling, and I've had this feeling for a while now, I've mentioned it in videos for probably like the past year, I get the feeling that Halo 6's story is going to revolve around a land grab for the Ark. Cortana knows it's the most important installation in the galaxy, and if she wants true control, then she has to annex the Ark. Humanity and the Swords of Sanghelios realize this, and somehow, I don't know how, but somehow they get to the Ark to try and stop her, thus mirroring Halo 3's story, except with Cortana instead of truth. We trade one megalomaniac for another. Albeit a much worse megalomaniac. Anyways, Halo 6 ends and we managed to stop Cortana from getting the Ark, and the created story arc is finally over. Then, the legendary ending. Something somehow causes another containment breach in the quarantine shield around High Charity, and the final cutscene has the Flood escaping the quarantine and beginning to infect all of the dead soldiers on the Ark from the battle between the Allies and the Created, once again spreading. Now, whether it happens like this or not, I'm absolutely adamant that we're going to get the Flood's return at the very least hinted in Halo 6's legendary ending, and given how Awakening the Nightmare left us, I wouldn't count this out. However, my problem with this is that I honestly hate the idea of the Flood returning twice due to a liability, and of course that liability being the faulty Halo ring. It just seems cheap having it happen again. And as backwards as this might sound, I really hope this doesn't happen, but to me, it kind of just makes sense. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it feels like it was maybe set up this way for a reason. Personally, my perfect, full-blown return of the Flood would be them randomly showing up through slipspace portals from other galaxies, out of nowhere, bringing a shitload of foreign alien technology with them, to finally test humanity for the mantle of responsibility. It was prophesized in, I think it was Primordium or Silentium by the Primordial, and it's bound to happen at some point soon. If Cortana does have the Logic Plague, this test is bound to happen soon. Again, this is in a perfect world, and we don't even know if 343 are even going to bring the Flood back past Awakening the Nightmare. We can only hope. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I've got some new Flood lore content on the way that is pretty reminiscent of that big lore series that I did recently. Awakening the Nightmare gave us some new, very interesting and even partially contradictory lore for the Flood. Some of it is very confusing. I will mention it in videos and try and explain it the best that I can. It'll be interesting to see if I can do that, but yeah, I'll be covering all of it. Thanks again for watching, guys. It is so hype that the Flood are finally back. It feels so good to be making videos about actual new Flood lore. Like, it's literally the first time ever, so it feels great. Yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.